If Jeffrey Epstein was just some rich pervert acting completely alone with no help, no protection, no powerful people watching his back, then this would be the largest coincidence in modern history because convicted sex offenders like that do not move freely through elite circles unless someone opens the doors. The Joe Rossano Show is next. Now, before you decide whether or not I'm full of it, drop a comment right now, yes or no, because this topic splits people immediately. I'm not making accusations. I'm asking why one convicted pervert was treated like a VIP. Let's be very clear. Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of abusing underage girls. That's not disputed. That is not controversial. That is a fact. What is disputed is how a known deviant was allowed to operate for decades around the most powerful people on earth. Naming people is not accusing them. Asking questions is not declaring guilt. But pretending Jeffrey Epstein acted in total isolation requires ignoring reality. Here's the first thing that doesn't add up. Epstein was a college dropout with no clear verifiable investment track record, yet somehow controlled hundreds of millions of dollars. Not thousands, not a few million, hundreds of millions. Who trusted a Jeffrey Epstein like that with their money? Why him? And why after his behavior was already known in elite circles? That's not conspiracy. That's common sense. Epstein didn't live like a normal criminal. He lived like someone who was protected. He had access to politicians, royalty, billionaires. Power does not associate randomly. Power vets. Power protects itself. So the real question isn't who knew Epstein. The question is, why was a known pervert allowed to stay? Ask yourself and answer honestly. If you had Epstein's history, would you still be getting invited to parties? Now let's address what people want to talk about, the names. And we're going to do this clearly. Bill Clinton has acknowledged knowing Jeffrey Epstein. He has denied ever visiting Epstein's island. He denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. That is his statement on the record. However, Clinton's name has appeared in flight records connected to Epstein. Supporters say those trips were legitimate and non-criminal. Critics say the explanations leave questions unanswered. Here's the key point. When a former president is repeatedly associated with a known pervert, the public is going to ask questions, not out of hate, out of responsibility. Does association require explanation, or is denial enough? Now let's talk about Prince Andrew, because this case is different. Prince Andrew has denied any criminal wrongdoing. That matters. But here's what did happen. A civil lawsuit was filed and a settlement was reached. Millions of dollars were paid. No admission of guilt was made. Settlement is not guilt, but settlement exists for a reason. And the question people cannot stop asking is this. If nothing improper happened, why did Prince Andrew end up in exile? Because institutions built on trust, like the royal family, and optics, perception becomes reality. If you believe Prince Andrew was innocent, explain the settlement. Epstein received one of the most lenient plea deals ever given to a sex offender involving minors. This is not opinion, this is documented. The deal was so unusual, it later triggered investigations and public outrage. So here's the question. Who had the power to make that deal happen? And why was that power used to protect a pervert? Jeffrey Epstein dies in custody under suicide watch in a high security facility. Cameras fail, guards fall asleep, checks are missed. Is it possible this was incompetence? Yes. Is it reasonable that people don't believe Jeffrey Epstein just conveniently stopped talking? I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm asking why transparency always seems to stop where power begins. Why was a convicted pervert allowed this close to power for so long? Your questions and comments from the jar. So let's see what you have to say today, folks. Probably my favorite segment, quite frankly. Let's see here. Okay, this from Pachanga 22, Tim. They aren't releasing all this because there's too many of them all wrapped up in it. Dems, Republicans, Hollywood elites, the whole nines. I've said that many times. Yeah, I mean, why aren't the Epstein files released in their entirety, not redacted, etc.? Because there's people on the list that the powers that be want to protect. Now, when it comes to President Trump, let me be very clear. I have every reason to believe, considering how many things he's been accused of, that one of the victims in the whole entire Epstein Island pervert saga hasn't come out and said, "Hey, I was with Donald Trump. He was trafficked to me." But there are people on that list, they got a problem. They really do. And I think it's probably a matter of time before this whole thing spills. But, as far as folks are concerned, Lee Harvey Oswald was not the only one who was involved in the Kennedy assassination. 64 years later, we still don't know, folks. We still don't know. So let's move to the next one here. That's from Presto Jeff. Check some bank accounts for payoffs. What I explain to people is this has been going on since the beginning of time. The only difference between Jeffrey Epstein and any other pervert who worked with powerful people and had handlers, etc., and madams, it's the age of the internet. It's social media. It's the 24-hour news cycle. What do you think? Perverts didn't exist prior to Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, they're everywhere, and they were everywhere. And at the end of the day, money silences people. Money does a lot of things. Money causes all kinds of things. People do crazy stuff for money. I mean, ask around. But in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, he is one of a long line of perverts who had young girls come in and massage him and do sexual favors. You think he wrote the book on this? No. And you're right. Check some bank accounts. And that's probably a very good place to start, Presto, Jeff. That's a good one. As always, my dearest friends and fellow Americans, we graciously appreciate spending a little time with your pal Joe Rossano here, where we are unfiltered, unbiased, and uncensored. Please like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, and comment. That's very important. For our latest episodes of the Joe Rossano Show, as always, God bless you, my dearest friends and fellow Americans. Please don't forget to adopt a pet, and we'll see you next time.